security screen.
There it is. Gotta see who's coming in our store.
Okay. Do you remember any
Kathy.
Kathy, okay?
interesting items that were sold today?
Oh my goodness.
That thing from your primitive room, that was really cool.
Well, that big sampler.
Oh, yeah.
The thing from your can you show me your primitive
Yeah,
room?
I can.
Okay, we are going to see. See, she has gone primitive,
Well,
and we're going to see.
all mine up here, though, too.
But is this the primitive room?
No.
Okay. So this is just another one of your
Another room.
your rooms.
That's my
No,
cabin.
that's your cabinet room.
I sat on the chicken thing and just watched him.
Okay.
This is my primitive room.
Okay, this is the famous primitive room that we've been hearing all about. Now, what was that great item that was sold from the primitive room?
The great item was
Yes.
a 19th century sampler
A 19th century
that had a mother's, like 12 children documented on it.
all 12 children were
All 12,
documented.
yes.
I guess if I had 12 children,
Yeah.
I'd be doing some
Right.
documentation. Now, how old
Yeah.
would you say that sampler was?
That was like from the 1850s.
1850s,
Yes.
back in what would be called the good old days.
good old days.
Now, is that an Amish sampler, or what would you say the ethnicity or the religion of that sampler is associated with?
It was a Christian sampler, and it was from New England.
It was from New England.
Yes.
And so it document. Now, how did it document the 12 kids? Did it have like little?
Names and birth dates.
Do you remember any of the names? So the birth date, since this was 1850, the birth dates were probably like in the 1840s or something like
It was the birth dates. What was looked like it? She had done it ongoing. So the dates were like I don't know, like a 15-year span.
So she was pregnant almost the entire
The
time.
entire time.
And so where did you get that from? Round Top, or where did you get that from?
I actually did get that in Texas.
Texas.
So not Round
but-
Top, in Texas, but when I was at Round Top at a different location.
Oh, I see. When you went to Round Top,
Yeah.
you were doing some
I was
extracurricular
was.
buying. But
Yes.
we won't even mention that. Why don't you tell me about an interesting item that you do have here right now that I could get a spectacular shot of?
Well, not everybody would see the beauty of this horse, but he's one of my favorites.
Of this poor pathetic horse
Beautiful
that's
horse, loved to death.
obviously had a very tough
Yes.
life. Now,
But
what
that's
do you?
the kind of thing I love. I don't
No.
like him to be in necessarily mint condition.
Oh, you don't.
I like them to show their use and their wear, not abused, but used.
Well,
in their
I
age.
think he verges
No,
on. He was never abused.
No, he
He's
was.
obviously
he
had a
was
hard
loved.
life. Now,
He
what
was
can
loved.
you tell me? No, what is his name? Is this Pokey?
Yes, Pokey. Yeah.
So this is Pokey. So how old would you say Pokey was? From your expertise and having been doing this stuff for so many years, you probably have an idea. This would be called folk art, right? This would be
I would say he verges on folk art.
Okay, he verges
Yes.
on folk. I doubt that this was made in mass production.
No.
And so how old would you say, when was the great Pokey era?
He would probably be from around the 1870s or so.
Okay, around
Yeah,
1870s
he's got
or
his
so.
original old red paint
Uh-huh.
and handmade, obviously.
I would think so,
Yeah.
yes. This didn't look like what I would call in a real industrial age
No.
kind of thing. So
No.
this was probably made, now what part of the country would you say this from? Is this from Iowa, would you say?
No,
This is not New York, of course.
no, but I think it was from Pennsylvania is where we found it.
Oh, you found it
Yeah.
in, now what were you doing in Pennsylvania? Is there some show there? Or you were just on some other trip?
Last August, we drove from New York and drove home. So we stopped different places all along the way.
Oh,
and shopped.
so you just, and what city in Pennsylvania was this associated
That
with?
I would have to look up. I don't.
Well, when
it's
you
all
go
a little
to,
bit of a blur
when you go to,
me now.
when you go all the way from New York to Los Angeles,
I
it's
can't
a
remember
blur.
every little item,
But
yeah,
if you
but-
were to go in Pennsylvania, where would the cities be that you'd be likely to go?
Lancaster.
Lancaster?
And a lot of it is in the Amish area and that sort of thing too. So.
Okay, so this.
But we've gone to, Philadelphia and just kind of all over.
Okay, fantastic.